This is Just Saying, episode 22 of season 2. And as always, it's myself and the Bromeo. But we do have a special guest panelist tonight. And the song you hear playing is just for him. Skill Steel!
What is up?
I don't know why I'm vibing so hard to this. I'm
My
loving
goodness.
the subtitles too.
I've never seen this before, to be honest.
He brings this out for you, but he doesn't bring it out for me. I need a theme song.
I mean, I could see it. I could see it.
Oh, man,
That
I
is
love
great.
it.
That is great.
Are we doing the whole song, GB? Because I'm
No,
sure
not
this
the whole
is
song,
better.
just that. Skill Steel, the last of a dying breed.
Wow, that's so hectic.
That is
He-
that is intense.
He grinds and gives us what we need. Hello, Skill Steel. And Bromeo, you two, also pleased you're here.
Oh, thanks. I'm gratified by that.
All right, and how's it to everybody who's here in chat? A quick run through the roll call there. Hypersonic J, Dear Dazel, how's it? Nice Panda, the Bromeo, Borky, Aussie Stones. Hello, peeps. Good to have you. Good to see you. So, yeah, we got the roster for tonight in terms of topics is pretty straightforward. We're going to be FIFAe is first on the agenda, followed by the Cash Cup, followed by RLCS, followed by the Varsity LAN, followed by some general announcements. And Skill Steel, we're going to have the opportunity to talk long and hard about the Cash Cup. I thought it was a banger. What are your instant impressions?
It was pretty good. It's unfortunate that we had a few DQs.
Yes.
To Die For's team, what they were called Jabulani, I think. Sad to see them DQ. I mean, Cash Cup vibes. You know, people aren't entirely motivated. There were some FIFA shenanigans. People had other things they're gonna do. So the teams that did stick it out was pretty fun to watch. The 2/3 roster. For some teams, you know, Cash Cup, until the new season starts, import teams are still allowed.
Yes.
But the team's already locked. Daps's team, Ravi's team with Jeff and Steak, that was pretty fun to watch. It's kind of nice to see the dynamics unfold very, very early before the season even starts. It was very cool to see, actually. It was very nice.
Okie dokie. Well, we're gonna cycle back to that and get deeper thoughts and insights. But FIFAe is a big deal, and it occurred to me that most people do not know what went down and, well, what was supposed to happen versus what actually happened in the end in terms of how our roster was, how the South African squad was selected. So I'm going to give an overall view of things, and then Bromeo Skill will come back and talk about it, and chat, I'm sure, will get involved themselves. And let me say that at the outset, we are sending a team, and that is already way ahead of Canada, way ahead of Spain, Denmark, and many others. So we take a win there. However, within the context of what we could have had, here is the info. There was very early information about FIFAe this year, which was fantastic. And with that early information, there were wonderful consultations. Not just locally, but with people with experience out of Europe. So with all of that, this is how it was supposed to go, how it was supposed to work. First, the criteria for who was to be selected for South Africa was not just around being good at the game. The criteria was pretty much this. First, foremost, very important, you got to be really good at the game and have good results. Secondly, players selected had to have potential for the country in Rocket League beyond just the World Cup, beyond just this tournament. The players selected had to be capable of representing the country professionally, and then the players selected had to have excellent community standing, which is basically to say that every player selected will be people who the entire country could get behind and support. Now, most professional teams outside of esport are built around a coach. You find a respected coach who has had success. The coach comes in and selects the best players. And that was the plan here. Bring in a high-level coach who has experience and success at the top level of the game. Then hold a qualifier. Bring in the top 6 players from that qualifier into a closed invitational qualifier with invited players who had a proven record of performance, and then hold a mixed trial with all of them. And then based on past performances and performances in the qualifier, the coach would select 6 players to form the initial squad. The final 3 players would be selected from these 6 based on all the criteria. And while that was going on, at the same time, there would be a rollout of a media plan, TV, radio, social media, to promote the entire process and the final selection in an effort to reach way beyond just the Rocket League community. All of this would have been in addition to regular streaming of qualifiers, of trials, announcements, and of course, the final regional qualifiers, which were held this past weekend. All of this was offered with no financial request or expectation. Despite the fact that member associations of FIFA who chose to field a roster were given $10,000 to help with the process of qualifiers and selection. So basically, it was just a community of experienced people with a love of the game, love of the region, and a love of the community. And initially, SAFA were fully on board with this idea. However, a little bit into the process, they started to ghost everyone, and ultimately they removed the local organizers. They then select the selected coach, and we had a high level, a major winning coach, RLCS major winning coach on board with no salary, willing to be involved. That he wasn't finalized, and he played no part in the initial selection. I have zero idea of who upset who, or why it all happened this way. But the result is that it left everyone in the dark, including the players. And that situation remained that way until 2 days before the final qualifiers, and a single criteria was used to select the 3 players to represent South Africa. And it was then left to the players to influence the process, including who would be the coach. And that's why I am so angry about it. And that's why it is so devastating that Sweaty is not representing us. We can argue all day about whether Snowy or Guns should be representing South Africa. But with Sweaty, based on the broader criteria, he was the number 1 choice. In addition to all of this, nobody outside of the Rocket League community knows or cares about our participation in this global event. And this whole process has done nothing to grow the game, to grow the support base, to grow the esport, or to better prepare us for future World Cups. The streamed qualifiers this weekend were watched by less than 60 people. It's a fucking tragedy. With all of that said, we will now throw our support behind the team which has been selected and who have now qualified for the World Cup in Riyadh. So, gents, there we go. So that's what was supposed to happen, and we all know what did happen. So, Skill, I'll start with you, because based on, you put a tweet when you were like, what the hell, but this is the team we got, we need to support them.
How do I follow up that performance from Gabriel?
Yeah, that was a lot. I'm glad you're doing it.
Okay. Recap. Okay, so from my side, the initial FIFAe dealings that I had, or that I, understood of it, was Eli messaging me on Discord saying, listen, do you want to join me and Snowy for the FIFA quals? And at first I'm like, Snowy and Eli teaming? There's no ways. That already just sets off. Not because I just didn't think that combination would ever, play threes together. I'm already thinking, okay, what's going on? And then they also asked Ram, and I'm also okay. Now, what is going on now? Now it just sounds very funny because that trio I never expected to ever team. And then they said they got Ram, and then Eli, very nice. He told me, I hope I get a spot for the round robin. It's just the quals, and then it's into round robin. I'm thinking, what? How is this even? How was this ever approved? This kind of process? How do you, let people just, make a team, get through quals, and then it's like free fall. Then the team you signed up with is just doesn't even matter. That entire process already just kind of boggled my mind and just told me this already doesn't sound good. Because the entire premise is for the World Cup is you send the best 3 players you have, but you don't just pick them out of a handful. You say, okay, I want that guy in the back, I want you in the front, you look cool, I want you, and then you put them together and send them overseas. How are we still doing that in 2025? You have your teams, you let them qualify, go through that gauntlet, the best teams comes out, and you send them to the African qualify and let them qualify for FIFAe, the World Cup. Isn't that like logical? Isn't that the way you're supposed to do it? And then you hear all this thing about, no, you're getting a coach he picks, and then they need to meet certain criteria. Sure, you need to be professional. You need to be able to put on a happy face. You can't just go over there and start, telling the entire world, no, you're shit, and you can't do this, you can't do that. So obviously, there's certain criteria that has to be met by default. You need to be a professional, and to be a professional, there's certain things that you just need to be able to do. What was that word I used on Twitter at one stage? You need to comport yourself. You need to be very respectful. There's a certain way you need to act when you are a professional. And to hear that they stipulate that as needing to be criteria is just kind of ridiculous. When you think if you deal with professional players that they should be meeting that by default. You shouldn't be asking them to meet that criteria.
But there is, I think it's a necessary criteria just because there are people there are people who struggle with that reputation, and they need to understand that you're not just representing an org or yourself, you are the representative for an entire country. So I believe it was necessary for that to be a stipulation.
Sure. No, but like I said, it should be something that they're told, but it shouldn't be something you choose according to. It's like what I'm trying to get at is you get the best players from the region, but you don't just pick them because, they're historically the best team. Whoever goes through qualifiers deserves that spot because they beat everyone in the country. They're the best team. You send them. That then should be then told, listen, guys, you're not just representing, your local org. This is now you're representing the entirety of South Africa. This is now your country you're playing for. But I don't think it should be something it's like hard to explain, but I think you find it in every other sport as well. Like if Bafana qualifies for the World Cup, they're not going to tell them, listen, one guy in your team, I don't like his attitude. He's not really good for media, and he's not really good for the country. So we're not going to send you guys. We're going to send the guys behind you. It's like, it doesn't make sense to choose that way. And like I said, I just believe if you are professional, there's certain things by default you should be adhering to, but it shouldn't be. Yeah, it's like it's hard to get the thought across, and I hope I just got some of it across at least.
I think I think you did, and I think there's some. What I'm enjoying is that this is very much a player point of view. I have a broader sort of community overall view, and we're there's a little bit of space between my view and your view. Which is not a bad thing, and
Can I be the space in the middle?
You're the space in the middle, Bromeo. What do you have to say?
So my opinion on this one is that no, it shouldn't be publicly stated that this player should be, the best representation of our nation. They should be the best player they are. That said, the coach, if they were shit for the brand of the team, they wouldn't get picked in the first place. It just wouldn't be public. And you have a look at, let me just use rugby as an example. Remember Elton Yankees? Me neither. He was a Springbok fly half who played a lot of rugby for the Springboks until he decided to have intimate relations with the team physio, and then he never played another game. And you see, like, he's a fantastic player, but then what? There's nothing saying you're not allowed to sleep with your physiotherapist, but he also never played another game for the Springboks. So my point behind all of this is that, sure, you can be a shithead and still play for your country. And nothing says you have to be a good person even to play for your country. But if you do create brand damage, or there is potential to create brand damage, doesn't matter who you are, then I guarantee you the governing body won't select you, because that's an inherent risk to the brand that they're trying to build. So I'm not saying here's the case. I just think it's a good foundation to build upon, because there currently is no existing infrastructure that this stuff had to be said out loud in the first place.
Yeah, and I guess frustratingly, it feels like, last year we understand it was like the first World Cup, and it was like, okay, you and you go, and there was no argument with that given that circumstance. But for me, it was so sad that there were 3 players representing South Africa in a World Cup, and nobody knew about it. It was quiet. Outside of whoever watches my channel, watches the Rocket League local channels, outside of that, no one knew, no one cared. And I thought this time there would be such an opportunity to make it bigger, but we've landed up with a very similar situation. Snowy Guns and To Die For are going to go to Riyadh. Who knows? Who cares? Who gives a shit? Who's going to be supporting them outside of a watch party? Yeah, exactly. The 3 of us, and who we got in chat, 25 people in chat, at least us will support them. And it could have been so. Anyway, that's my frustration with it. And I was so filled with optimism at the beginning that we were going to have this huge thing. And I guess it's the frustration of getting the idea that the people who are here and who are bleeding in the scene were not trusted to make something amazing of it, because I think we would do incredibly with it. But having said that, whining about it any further doesn't. We just hope that next year there'll be a better process, a public process, a transparent process, something that everybody knows what's going on, and we can do this better. I have heard word that the process for selection will start even earlier, maybe even as early as April. And that will be enormously helpful and give us more time and actually to build some hype around it. But having said all of that, there was a qualifier this weekend, and I do have a bracket that we can show. There we go. There it is. There. This was the African qualifiers: South Africa, Seychelles, Egypt, Ghana, Morocco, Tanzania, Senegal, and Madagascar. And I am thrilled that there were other countries involved, but it was a bit of a massacre. I don't know that anybody was above Champ 3 outside of South Africa and Morocco. So it was it was crazy. And the 2 teams you would have expected to qualify were South Africa and Morocco. And you can see there, South Africa swept their way until they were swept by, well, Morocco. Who the hell's on the Morocco team? Well, let's start with Drali, and it doesn't get much better after that.
Yeah, I mean, it really was just unfortunate. I wouldn't say unfortunate, but yeah, Morocco, with those 2 at least, I think they could 2v3 us anyways, if I'm going to be brutally honest. They were just a level above.
Yes. But you know what? They were there, and that is a huge step. And this is far better than last year. Again, it did improve from last year, because last year there were no other countries. It was literally, okay, South Africa, you get to represent Africa, which was a little unfair that no one else gets to participate. So I mean, Bromeo, this is a good thing. It is. It does it feel at least like there's an attempt to widen the tent.
You know, I think conceptually FIFAe I love. I love supporting our national team despite its failings at administrative level. Um, and to see that we get to support Rocket League on a different setup rather than just looking at clubs who I feel rather dispassionate about, I would wholeheartedly support a country, my country, every time. And I feel like it is very easy to support your own country because it's the one thing that you don't have to pick because you were given it. And it makes seeing the green and gold an easy thing to support because that is you. They are a representation of your physical location and then vis-a-vis you as a person. So when I see South Africa, I see me. And I want me to succeed, so I want South Africa to succeed. And that's the brunt of it. And what I love about what FIFAe is trying to achieve is that they're trying to get a national season going, which I think is sorely missing from this sort of scene, because what's missing from esports is what K-Corp has started to bring to the game, which is tribalism. And there's nothing purer than location-based tribalism, saying I'm better than you because my borders say so. And there is no easier way to drum up support than just saying I'm from this country and you're from that country, therefore we have to beat you. And I feel like the marketing potential behind this for esports in South Africa is absolutely massive. So yes, it's a fuck up, Greybeard. I agree. I'm not any less disappointed, but I feel that us, sort of leaving this one be is a little bit premature now. How much time have we got until these guys depart to Riyadh?
It's early December, so it's right after the first RLCS regional. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, around the 12th. Okay. So what does that give us? About 5 weeks, 6 weeks?
So it gives us 5 weeks to tell as many people as possible that an African country on the tip of Africa is going to go to Riyadh to represent us. It's not going to be easy, but we're there. And, the fact that we made our way all the way, we're the top 2 in Africa, that I know that doesn't say much, but that's not the point. Is that, you're trying to, defend ourselves against the best in the world, but we're already the best in Africa, yet nobody gives a shit about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like we've got 5 weeks to make sure that somebody answers a phone call, decides to put out a presser, because even an analogous statement being made by staffer just wishing them luck on their journey will bring more eyes to Rocket League than anything we could do.
Yeah.
And I feel like that should be the goal. We shouldn't be aiming to be treated like Rassie Erasmus winning a World Cup on the way back. We shouldn't even be aiming for half of that, given the issues that we live in a third world country. 3 kids going to play video games somewhere else isn't really on the top of the leaderboard on things to do. And so I feel like if we can just achieve some form of acknowledgement somewhere, that would be a win, and growing into the next year, because what SAFA does like is winning, and if we do start winning, then things change. So yes, we are in control of our own destiny, just like we always have. So I don't know why we're complaining that much.
It's in our nature to complain. It's the South African way, man. There's always something. It's too hot. It's too cold. The traffic lights work. The traffic lights don't work. They fixed the potholes but painted it a bad color. Whatever. It's it is the way. But the great story here is that the South African squad, comprising, outside of To Die For, Guns and Snowy, they were also competing in the October Cash Cup. This was all happening at the same time, and there was doubt for a long time as to whether they would actually make 2, and would they have to forfeit in the Cash Cup in order to play the qualifier. But in the end, the timing worked out great, and not to bury the lead, Jay Borland, the Jay Borland team made up of Snowy, Guns, and Takos, did win the Cash Cup, which then segues nicely into this weekend's Cash Cup. And Skill Steel, you gave us your initial impressions at the start of the stream, but there were a number of things to talk about, and your team's performance will certainly be one of them. Oh dear, this is such a terrible graphic because it's there's a lot of information on a very small screen. But don't bother trying to read all of that. That's mostly there so I can remember the cool things I want to talk about. 41 teams signed up. And so there were two groups of 20 and obviously 21. There they are there. And in an entire sea of grey, there's one org logo, which was Astronic. So well done for that, at least having a little bit of a splash of colour in a sea of grey. They and Cosmico. Now, so I'm gonna tell you the things I was impressed with day one, the 41 teams, double elimination. There were a lot of DQs early on. One of them being To Die For and Sweaty's team, and obviously Louis P. And I don't know if that was related to the FIFA debacle. I know Sweaty was very upset about things, and To Die For was obviously playing in the qualifiers. So I don't know, Skill Still, if you've got any insight, but they had signed up for the Cash Cup but didn't show up.
Yeah, unfortunately, don't know anything other than the DQ itself, so I'm not too sure. It might have been FIFAe, but the conflict definitely would have impacted them. Because when we first saw them DQ and uppers, we were like, okay, they're probably going to play the lowers.
Yes.
We saw them DQ the lowers, we were like, okay, what's happening? Yeah.
I mean, I know for sure there were 38 other players who were quite pleased to see that DQ, but...
Yeah, I mean, but they, their mindset is they still want to just, get first place. I'm still of the mindset I would have liked to at least, play them at some stage, hopefully.
Of course.
We were actually very, very glad to still catch... Revezi's team before they can't farm us anymore, so that was pretty fun. But yeah, just having To Die For's team DQ was, and then Cam's team as well. I think they not in the same group as them, or were they?
Cam's team was what was the name of
Cam,
that?
Tristan and some guy I don't know, but they also
Cam,
DQ'd.
Tristan, and Chunkler. Yeah, they also DQ'd, and I'm trying to see what their team name was. They would have FF'd here in the beginning. So it wasn't in that group. It would have been in pool 2. So there's Jabulani. Oh, maybe it was this one. Aurora. Was that? No.
Salty Sugar?
No, Salty Sugar's Pepito.
Oh, okay.
It must be Aurora, I think, then, because that's the only other FF we saw in the first round. Oh, but that's... Oh, upper bracket... Oh, no. Hold on. I'm getting confused. I think I'm missing the first round upper bracket here. That's exactly what I'm missing. Is not in this graphic.
DQ'd. I know they DQ'd.
Yes.
And I don't know of any other teams that also DQ'd. Probably be a smart idea to bring.
No other big ones. I mean, Cam's team and Sweaty's team were the two big ones that DQ'd. But outside of that, so these were the highlights for me on day one. Wilu had a pickup team. He picked up Willington Zeph for the Cash Cup, and on day one they made it to top 12 through the uppers, and they beat Cosmico along the way. Cosmico, of course, dropped Wilu to pick up Ravi, so that was kind of exciting. Cosmico got their revenge the next day. But I was pleased with their performance. Wilu, of course, is a legend, but seeing Willent involved, I was quite pleased with.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look here, and there were only 3 orgs represented at this Cash Cup. White Rabbit Gaming, Cosmico, and Astronic. And I know this is the time of season where we're waiting to see who gets orged up and who doesn't. But it's still incredibly surprising to see that we're a month away from the kickoff of RLCS, and only 3 orgs had their stickers equipped to vehicles in this tournament. And I'm just I'm so interested to see what the ecosystem of orgs looks like this season, because all of the talk has been around who's going to pick up who and how much is it going to cost these orgs, because currently there is no market value for a RLCS team, because given the fact that this entire market has been reset, the fact that nobody knows who's good anymore, other than just a couple of hints and a couple of things, because none of these boys were pushing top 8 for the last the last regional or two. And so there's a lot of skewed data, which makes it really, really tough to see. So I'm just wondering why so many orgs have not committed this early, is one, and why they wouldn't want more representation, or is it just still RLCS only kicks off later, so the orgs only kick off later?
I think, I mean, I know a lot of these rosters are already committed. There are a number of rosters playing, I know, who do have orgs, but the orgs haven't announced. And I don't know if that's logistical or maybe they're keeping the door. I don't know, but there were far more rosters. Well, I mean, let's take the Pioneers, for example. I don't know why they haven't locked down that roster and announced. I don't know if there's still conversations going on. Skillsteel, do you have any inside info on that score?
Absolutely no information whatsoever.
God damn it, Skillsteel! Nobody tells you anything.
Nobody tells me nothing. But I've been playing six mans, and I've been asking. So what's been happening to to the dive on Sweaty. But unfortunately, I can't just say anything I want to. So I've actually no idea how their signage is going, or if it's going through or not. But hoping for the best. KCP is a huge sign for us.
Yes.
We've had the likes of Limitless. I can't remember. Okay, besides Limitless, I'm trying to think of any other like big outside orgs. KCP is huge. Like they're up there.
Gargantuan.
A step above Limitless. So having them here is huge. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it works out for them, because that'll be amazing for us, for the publicity, and because I know KCP, their media and their social media presence is also pretty big.
Yes.
They've been in OCE for quite a while, so yeah, it's pretty huge. It's pretty huge. I mean, their fans hopefully come over this side and create some dynamic in here, so it can only be in big things. So fingers crossed.
And I know Kronovi was involved with them. I don't know if he still is.
Yes. Don't think he is anymore.
Okay.
I think for a while now. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't even know. Yeah, I
thought he had left, and then I saw them tweeting something like a video that involved Kronovi or whatever, and I was like, oh, is he still doing stuff for them? I wasn't sure, but what a legend to have a chat to your brand and org. So that's pretty cool. So that was one thing, was seeing Wilu beat Cosmico, and then. On day one, there were two South African teams. One of them, I think they called themselves All Roads Lead to Rome. And they were made up of a roster that I didn't recognize anybody. So I just assumed that they were an EU team. And that was Dusk, Dawn, Zero, and Moon. And I'm a bit traumatized by an EU player named Moon something. And so I assumed it was EU guys, and it was like, no, these are South African players, and I'm like, what? Here we go, check it out. They're all like 1,600 players, and they beat the DAPS Declan roster in the upper bracket, which is again, I thought they were an EU team, and they didn't make top 12, but they had an incredible run and gave a scare to a bunch of teams. So I'm hoping the names of Dusk, Dawn, Zero, and Moon will become more broadly known as time goes on.
I mean, I feel like those are names that you put for your Smurf accounts.
It could be.
Maybe it's DK Salen on an alt account.
I'm not even kidding. All three of those names are too closely related for them not to be Smurf accounts. Or not Smurf accounts, just alt accounts.
Yes.
They probably players we know, and They just decided to go for something fun and different, I suppose.
And
Yeah,
then
it's
there
not
was
often you see a team just out of nowhere, no one you recognize, just beating like Daps, Declan, and
Yeah,
A4.
like that doesn't
That's
happen,
like
especially in
shady.
a team this
That's very
small.
shady. Yeah, no, like that
So
doesn't just happen.
yeah, no. So there's I'll put out a bounty. Anybody who can reveal who these people actually are, I'll give you something in Rocket League. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't had enough time to verbalize this one. But we need to get to the bottom of who Dusk, Dawn, and Dawn Star or whatever their name is.
Dawn Zero, and Moon. The other team was the latecomers, made up of CK, Anthu, and AK. They didn't have as big a result as the roster we just spoke about, but they did quite well. And in the lowers came up against the Dutchies and gave them a run. As far as I know, at least took a game off them. So potentially CK, Anthu, AK are names to watch for the future. But that was gratifying for me to see. I mean, as you're saying, skill. It doesn't happen a lot, where you're like, honestly, a player you've never heard of, and they're having a great run. So there were 6 of them. So hopefully there will be more to come from those guys.
And I love to see CDV Wolves took a game off Dutchies.
Yes.
Bulletproof, they got beat by Dutchies. Bulletproof is
Yes.
Rubix's team. So that makes me happy.
Yes.
The fact that none of these, there were hardly any Euro teams that made any meaningful deep run into this tournament. And that makes me happy because then it doesn't matter really about region luck. We kicked them out anyway. So grateful for that. And I'm really excited to see the Dutchies kick it into action. I don't think we've spoken about it enough. I feel like they are going to be everyone's second favorite team this entire season. And because they are all very old at the tender age of 20 or 21 or something like that.
Still very young.
It was, we spoke about this a bit in chat, Bromeo. What was odd for me is covering these for the last 2 seasons. The villains and the heroes were very obvious. It was whoever was SSA and whoever was Europe. But that dynamic changed quite a bit with this. And now you're seeing, Cosmico up against LFO, and you're like, oh, I don't want either of these teams to lose.
Going back to the good old days. Good old days.
Yeah,
the good
exactly.
old days is like anybody against Pirates, Pirates must fall.
Yeah.
And because they didn't lose very often, so every single grand final Sunday when Pirates faced whoever was going up against them, whether it was Bravado or who were some of the others from that time, Apex,
Oh my,
DNMK,
ATK.
Some of those orgs, we would support them first. And I feel like this is a little time for another soapbox session because there is literally no support. I mean, that is granted. There is no reason for anybody to watch RLCS now from a broader perspective other than seeing good Rocket League, because previously it was making sure that whichever European invader was playing, we didn't want to see them win. And so supporting a team was incredibly simple. Are they from here? Are they us? Yes or no? If no, we support the other team. If yes, we support them.
Yes.
It is that simple. But now I watched this entire tournament feeling really impartial, and that made me sad. Because I want to blindly support a team no matter what.
Yes.
And orgs have so much potential to build a fresh fan base, because the fan base is resetting as well.
Yes.
Because there is no goodwill, there is no generational trauma, there is new teams, new rosters, nobody knows what to expect. So I feel like the people who are first to the line now, who push the hardest, who hype the hardest, are gonna get most of the viewer base and most of the goodwill from that. And find we're in a very uncertain time where even the orgs don't realize that. Is that it's a market share thing, a very limited market share thing. So you've got a period of weeks now to state your case for the people of this republic to watch you play Rocket League and decide they're going to support you. Because you're an org, you're a brand, you want people to. So I'm very excited to see who wins that battle, who's going to hype the hardest, who's going to get the most support, popular support from this season. And, you know, I'm gonna be real with you guys. It's like Limitless won for the longest of time, but I don't hear people speaking of them as like, oh, they're my team,
Yes.
you know. And they speak of them, oh, they won, cool, really glad, but they're not my team. And I hear people talking about unity, like, oh, they're my team. You know, I hear people talking about other orgs have been in the scene that, yeah, they're my team, but I don't feel like any org has truly successfully captured, you know, the attention of the public purely from an org perspective as a way to support. So that's something I'm going to be watching pretty closely this season.
The battle for the hearts and minds is wide open and there for the taking. And now a very, excuse me, a very real consequence of what we can expect in terms of the 2/3 rule. During the reign of the 2/3 rule for those 2 seasons, 75% of the SSA prize pool was leaving the region. It was going to EU players. In this Cash Cup, only 2 full EU rosters made the top 12. So that's what... and then out of the top 8, now 8 places were paid. So out of the top 8, there was only 1 full EU roster, which means that of the 24 teams that were in the top 8, 16 were from SSA, which means 66% of the prize pool stayed in this region, which is really important for everyone involved in terms of motivation. I mean, we had Max Guns and Max Scraffy and Jerome, who made their first top 12. They just missed out on the money, but they're making progress. They're motivated to go further, to be part of the broader prize pool. So that, I mean, skill as a player, that's got to be a huge thing for you.
Oh, definitely. I was actually telling Devour and the Astronic guys as well. This is probably the most competitive season we'll have. So, I mean, we had competitive season the last 2 seasons, but that was between EU and EU. But this will probably be the most competitive season we've been able to put together, and that's purely just because the teams are split up. You know, you got your Limitless guys, they're in different teams now. A lot of other teams, Wheelo now has found Willant. Hopefully they stick. It's not confirmed or set in stone yet.
Yes.
But a lot of these teams, I feel, are now more balanced. Like the region just feels more balanced in terms of teams. You can see that in scrims as well. Like, I'm very excited to see the dynamic between, obviously, now Sweaty's team and
Guns team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like those 2 now, it's not guaranteed who's first now. It's not even guaranteed who's top 4 now. We have Cosmico, we have Wheelo's team, we have... Well, I'm going to count us out because I'm obviously biased. But you have... Werty's team. You have Dutchies. I'm just going to call them by the names in the Cash Cup. So there's so many teams now that are competing for that top spot, or even just top 4, top 6 even. That it's really nice to see that our region is very balanced now. So, I mean, coming back to the point of the orgs just waiting, I think I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of orgs were just waiting for this Cash Cup to play out. The question being, okay, we want to pick up this team, but like how will they match up against the rest of the region? So I think a lot of orgs were kind of just waiting for that as well to play out, to see, okay, we're going to invest in you, so let's use this as like your initiation almost, to see, okay, how do you stack up against the rest? So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of orgs wait for that. Funnily enough, Skull G, who was his team? It was called G Friction and Laxstar, I think. They had
Yes.
the DTH tag in Rocket League, and I kind of, for a very split second, every time I saw it, I was like, okay, they've got picked up by Death Cloud, but it's not that. It's just the team name. But every time I saw them, like they got picked up by Death Cloud, but it wasn't the case. But yeah, hopefully after this Cash Cup, leading up to sign-ups opening, and then people signing up, we'll see orgs bite the bullet and say, okay, let's go for it. But yeah, I'm really glad to see the region just balancing out for a change.
Well, let's quickly go through the day two and how the Cash Cup ended, because it really was a sneak peek into what the 2026 season is going to look like. We had the new rosters out there. We didn't get to see Sweaty's team, which is unfortunate. But we got to see a bunch of rosters, a bunch of players, not the least of which is Stronic. So that was pretty cool. But let's look at the teams that made it to day two through the upper bracket. Un, deux, trois. And I'm saying that abysmally, but that was Wilu's team. Wilu, Willant, and oh God, remind me, I can't remember. Then Zeph, thank you. God damn it, I forgot that. And then the Jabelvan boys, which is Guns' team, and then the McDonald's boys, which was Ivan, Revezi, and Torres, and they were clearly memeing off Twitter, who was saying that the old foot roster now have to go work at McDonald's. And then Astronic. And I mean, up until then, a great run, Skill Steel, and then coming up against the EU guys. I mean, you were swept there, but it felt, watching that, it felt a lot closer. I mean, it didn't feel like you were completely overrun.
I mean, not to cope too much. We had some issues with Onizuma's internet and situation before that, so warm up was kind of up in the air. So that was kind of our warm up, and I think the guys in Astronic as a whole were just kind of pleased the way that played out. Even though it was 3-0, it was 2 overtimes and 1 goal. It felt like there was a lot that could have gone our way, but obviously it didn't. But again, we kind of felt like we did well with what we were given. Pretty satisfied. Building off of that, we got Complex now, so a lot of what happened in the Cash Cup, he's got a lot to chew on. He's already giving a lot of strats and a lot of ways to play it. So, the rest of the Cash Cup as well, if I can just segue through that, playing Werty's team. Right after the Revezi team, we dropped down to play Werty's team. Same situation, kind of felt like we were in control, but again, certain things not going our way. Playing Werty and them won fair and square. I'm not saying we should have won or anything. Obviously biased, we should have won, but that game 4 really felt like the turning point. But never in the series we played, even the Revezi one and the Werty one, we felt like it was completely total utter shit. Everything's gone backwards. That being the first tournament, you can't ever just say, listen, okay, we're going to go in, get first place. This Cash Cup was kind of just to see, okay, where do we stack up? How does it feel? What do we need to work on? What can we play off of? We were kind of trying different strats. Complex was giving us certain things to try. So we were just kind of playing with it and see what works and what sticks. And
worth mentioning that in that lower bracket matchup with looking for Org, you were down 2-0, so came close to pulling off the reverse sweep there. Definitely one of the series of the tournament that I got to see and watch. I enjoyed that a lot. But it does bring us to LFO, as they were looking good, and that's Werty, Eli, and they were third, as their third was Berichu. Who's no stranger to SSA, and I don't know if they're locking that down as a third, if they were just trying out, or if he was literally just on loan for the Cash Cup. But they looked really good, made it all the way to the grand finals. So and Eli Bromeo, we've spoken about Eli. When he's good, he is good, but that can be a bit fragile. But he was looking amazing this tournament.
We're looking really, really good. And I think the key to that team is making sure Eli stays, in tip-top form, stays consistent. And, he is a passion player. So his his form blows hot and cold, which isn't the best, but when in clutch situations, he really can pull it off.
Mm,
We saw a couple of insane goals from him
mm,
in this tournament alone. There was a backboard read, which was absolutely beautiful as well. And I think that they have serious pushing potential. So I'm sure they'll find an org.
mm,
I'm not sure if, and we go back to the economics of it. I'm not sure if they're going to get what they're looking for, because I do feel like because there's so much uncertainty here. Um, nobody knows, especially from an org perspective and a player perspective, what these players should be getting to play the game because
mm,
there is currently no meaningful way for an org to exist in SSA.
mm,
All of these orgs who do exist are either passion projects, Discord servers, or a company that does other stuff and wants to have an esport for a tax rebate. And I feel like that last segment would be the one with the most potential. I mean, you have a look at your Nibbles
mm.
and your ATKs
Apex.
and Apex, and all of them who have like a sort of a financial reason to exist in the sphere, so it's not a complete loss. Those are the companies that you sort of look at to come in as an org. But all of the existing orgs right now are just taking a flat loss.
Mm,
And if they are paying their players a salary, that, like, make no mistake, that salary is coming out of somebody else's job.
mm.
Like, a guy is working a 9 to 5 so that these kids can play video games. And that in the current as an economic model is completely unsustainable.
Mm,
And I'm not saying kids don't deserve to play, get paid to play. That's not even the conversation.
mm,
I'm just saying that the economics, the infrastructure that exists, it's like buying a Lamborghini when we don't have a paved road. You
mm.
know, that's all and good and all to have a shiny car, but if you don't have a road to drive it on, it's not going to last very long.
Well,
And
I think that's
yeah.
highlighted in the fact that if we look at the returning orgs for RLCS 2026, there's Cosmico, there's Astronic, and probably Unity. Well, definitely we know Unity is going to be in. Those are the
Unity's
only
forever
returning
there.
from, huh?
Unity's forever there. Yeah.
And
Not going
that's
anywhere.
those are the only orgs that are returning from who were in RLCS last season. So what you're saying is kind of highlighted there. It's a struggle for longevity.
Yeah, I was actually having a
Oh.
look, and Astronic, they don't make any money by being here. Cosmico, they're not making any money yet, as far as I'm aware. White Rabbit Gaming, I'm not
Sorry,
sure.
White Rabbit is the other one. Beg your
Yeah.
pardon. Quite right.
But yeah, those are the only, real orgs who've been, and I say real org, as nicely as possible in an SSA setting.
Mm,
They are basically communities of players.
mm,
And I say that with love because, SSA is, where it is and what it is because of all of these people. This is not meant as an ounce of disrespect. It's actually defending them, saying that these people are going to work, paying these kids salaries to play Rocket League
mm,
and not getting anything out but the satisfaction in seeing these kids succeed,
mm,
which I love. I love to see. But if we want to start seeing a change from an org perspective, it has to come back in full circle. We're talking about it with FIFAe, is that there needs to be more eyes on this from a
mm,
commercial perspective, and then it'll make sense for players to start receiving salaries in accordance with their demand in the scene. So currently, I liken to it. It's like a pay to win game, and all of these are Clash of Clans teams and trying to get up to the top, and he who can pay the most will get their hand on the trophy, but for no other reason other than pride at this point. So hopefully that turns around, and with the amount of stuff happening in the side scenes, I think that's going to happen sooner rather than later. This year's has been absolutely immense. I mean, we haven't even started to touch RLCS, as a topic, because we've been going on about cash cups, we've been going on about RSC, we've been going on about all of the wild stuff that's been going on in Rocket League. that isn't even anything to do with Top Flight. And that is an incredibly good sign of a healthy scene.
So
And
what I will add to that, sorry, Gravy, what I will add to that, mentioning the lack of orgs in SSA, so that actually is also just a more global issue with Rocket
Yeah.
League itself.
Mm.
NA has that issue, EU has that issue. I don't know about MENA. MENA feels like, I don't know, no one really ever mentions MENA as orgless. They kind of just there, but I think they have the financial backing, that's why.
Infinite money glitch.
Infinite money glitch. There we go. But EU and NA definitely have the org issue as well. But I think theirs is more matured issue than ours. I mean, the orgs over there are very vocal about Rocket League not being a good return on investment. Partly because Psyonix, Epic, and them, the lack of communication, the lack of freedom of branding. The team decals, there's a lot of restrictions on that as well, which you can understand both ways, I guess. But yeah, the org situation is just global at the moment. Like a lot of people just don't see the value at all.
And there's a lot to be positive about in terms of what Epic, Blast, Psyonix are doing. I'm getting very cautiously optimistic vibes about the longer term future, but we'll recent decisions have been good, so let's see how that plays out. Now, to finish up on the Cash Cup so we can get to the RLCS, please. So day 2, lower bracket round 1, 6-7, which is Zany and Bigfoot. They had to forfeit because Anilo couldn't play. So just here for Cake, which is Daps's team, moved forward. Triple Pendiente EU team forfeited. I'm assuming because they forgot about daylight savings and showed up at the wrong time, but I don't know for sure. And then Kakora Fearphobia, which is, I don't know why they went with that, but that's Mercury's team. They beat Doing It for Asterix, which we're going to talk about in a moment because there is an announcement around that. And then LFO, Looking for Org, beat the Dutchies 3-1, which then meant in the money were Just Here for Cake, Cosmico, Mercury's team, and LFO made a minimum of $300. But Cosmico beat Daps's team 3-2. That was a 5-game thriller, and LFO beat oh my goodness, sneeze out of nowhere, sorry. Beat Mercury's team. They swept them and then had a cracker against Astronic, and Cosmico got revenge on Wilu's team, sweeping them. Lower bracket semis, LFO against Cosmico, another 5-game thriller, LFO going forward there, and they got to meet. And then a highlight match, Looking for Org beating the EU team of Ivan Revezi and Torres. So excellent result for them in a Game 5 thriller. And then into the grand final, Guns Snowy Takos sweeping LFO to take it, while at the same time playing the FIFAe quals. So they won the Cash Cup, didn't drop a game until they ran into Morocco in the FIFAe quals. So a pretty good Sunday all round for Guns and Snowy.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I will just shortly say I like the low bracket had all the dynamic between Cosmico, Werthy's team, and Willow's team. It was kind of back and forth, and because one dropped the other, and then they picked someone else up, and he moved to another team. So those three already built, like, if all 3 teams stick, it's going to create dynamic just going into the rest of the season, built off of whatever happened here. But that low bracket was really good. All the Game 5s was really competitive, really liked it. It was good.
The only thing I'm sorry about is that you didn't beat LFO, because that would have meant Ravi and Devour matching up as opponents. That was, I was really looking forward to that matchup, but we were denied that opportunity. For now, exactly.
I've got to say, and the final standings belie this, is that the 3 of the lower bracket runs went to Game 5. Astronics Looking for Org, Cosmico Looking for Org, McDonald's Looking for Org, and Looking for Org. LFO took these in Game 5 each time, but we need to have a look at Astronic seriously. We need to have a look at Cosmico seriously, because in Game 5 it could go either way. And this tournament could have looked completely differently. So it's very easy to look at the Liqui page and go, oh, well, they were dominant on the day, and they did. I'm not trying to diminish their accomplishment. They played incredibly well. I am just trying to say that, the top 6 is far from certain. I have no idea what top 6 is going to look like. I don't even know for certain if the Sweaty to Die For roster and the Guns roster is guaranteed top 2. I don't know, because we have nothing to go on, and we'll only find this out in the first split. So yes, they are the favorites to take it, but I love for the fact that there is nothing certain in this, and I feel like Champs Sunday is going to go pretty ham the entire year.
Now that transitions us nicely to RLCS, and I believe there is going to be an RL Esport announcement imminently, which is well timed, because as it stands now, the signups for Regional 1, for Open number 1, close in 21 days today. 3 weeks today, the signups will have closed for the first regional, and the signups have not yet opened. So things are a little tense. So hopefully there will be an announcement from RL Esport while we're on stream. But while we're waiting for that, if indeed it does come, we should announce there's a couple of things we know. We know that Unity have secured a roster. No idea. That's entirely a lie. We know exactly who it is, but their announcement coming in the next few days of the roster that Unity have picked up. So one of the orgs that we were sort of mentioning absent from the Cash Cup are going to have a roster within the next few days.
And I sent you something, GB. It was just confirmed
Yes.
in the last couple of hours. I'm not sure if you want to bring that up.
No, go for it.
Chrome have secured their RLCS roster in the form of, we spoke about them already, Scruffy, Jerome, and Max.
Banger. I'm very pleased for them. They one of the very few returning rosters. A roster who has stuck together. They competed under Ox last season, and now will be under Chrome. And I know Stones is quite committed to the scene, and looking forward to what they are going to bring. And Asterix as a coach, I think, is fabulous. They've had their best results so far in the Cash Cup, getting to top 12, which is good. They will want to go further than that. So well done to Stones and Chrome. Welcome to SSA RLCS. And that's pretty much all. There aren't too many more roster shenanigans going on for the time being, but we'll see how that goes. And anyway, the announcement hasn't yet come in. If indeed there is going to be an RL Esport announcement, but we'll wait for that. So
GB, before we continue, please, because I'm going to forget about this. When can we get a power ranking going of all of these teams between yourself, anybody wanting to contribute to this power ranking, so that at the beginning of the season, we've got an opinion, so that by the end of the season, we can see how wrong we all were. But some of us will be less wrong, and that's what we're going to look out for. What is the chance of us getting this thing together? Is there any interest for it? Could it be fun? Because there's so many new teams here that it's a lottery, and I feel like it's going to be a fun one.
So this is what I propose for that. There's no podcast next week because it's going to be RSC Season 4 playoffs. So the next podcast after today is going to be the 10th of November, 2 weeks today, and I think we should do it then, or maybe even a week later, the 17th, which is when signups will close, because by then there are a lot of locked-in rosters And there's going to be no chance of some power ranking we do being undone by a last minute change. Rosters will be locked in.
Falling apart.
Yeah, exactly. And not that happens in the Rocket League scene where there's
Not
like
at
an 11th hour, oh, I'm no longer on this roster, I'm going somewhere else. I know we don't have that problem. But just to make sure all our bases are covered, let's do it on the 17th.
Okay, so you heard it here, chat. Please remind us. Because something
But
we'll say and then not do.
Don't
But a
remind
power
us on
ranking-
oh, do you know what? I have a spreadsheet.
Yeah, we do. That we haven't used.
I use it every week, Bromeo. You never go and look.
So I say we because it includes me, but then I suppose I should just say I have never used it. My apologies.
So I'm going to put it in there for the 17th. Power rankings, RLCS. There we go. It's in the content spreadsheet. So Skill, take us through. 3 weeks to go. Pretty much, what's that, 26 or 25 days until the qualifiers. What does preparation look like between now and then?
Depends on who can scrim or not. A lot of teams are just, either egoing or not scrimming. So I'm not too sure if, it's a busy time for school or if it's a busy time for anything else. But I mean, pretty much, like I said, from an Astronic perspective, it's put as much time as we can without burning out. A lot of structured time with Complex on board. Like I said, he has a lot of ideas, a lot of things he wants us to implement and try outside of actually scrimming and also while we're scrimming. So from an Astronic perspective, just like I said, a lot of time without burning out. And it all depends on who can scrim. Not to show how the other teams, how amped they are, to grind for the next 25 odd days. You know how it goes in South Africa. A lot of people just play this game 24/7. But yeah, like I said, I feel like the season before it's even started is probably the most anticipated one. I told you a few weeks ago when they announced the 2/3 rule at Worlds, it felt like we were reintroduced to RLCS.
Yes, absolutely.
It's our first season of RLCS and we're reintroduced back. So I think the anticipation for this season leading up to it is already bigger than even almost back then. Because what we've gone through for the past 2 years. So yeah, I think a lot of teams are just more excited. I mean, I for one just want this to start now. Can we just do the regional next week? And let's just kick it off. Let's get going. Let's just do it. I mean, why the wait? Why the wait?
Skill, while I'm thinking about it, I need to ask you this question. I wanted to ask it during the Cash Cup segment, but Onizuma, I am so impressed with Onizuma. Where did you find it? I mean, I'd heard of him, and I'd heard of him because it feels like not that long ago I was in lobbies against him. So it wasn't that long ago where he was sort of the graveyard level of Rocket League, and now he just looks so good. Where did you find him? How did that come about?
So we have known about Onizuma for a while, with rank 2s and all that. So we've played against him and played with him in 2s for quite a while now. Through all the trials, obviously, we're very open to whoever wants to trial. So Onizuma contacted us. I think he contacted us or Devour and him spoke. So we ran the trial for 2 or 3 scrims and we were really liking the foundation we were building. Obviously, you can't base one scrim and say, okay, let's go for it. Some teams do it. I know about some teams that did it. Look how that turned out. But yeah, it's fine. But we ran 2 or 3 scrims and we were really liking the like I said, the foundation we were building. And then we kind of spoke about it. Listen, there's a month or so before RLCS. It doesn't make sense to lock in a team a week before. We were having this chat with Complex as well, and he also brought it up. You need as much time as possible to train and fix things and work out a plan before it starts.
Yes.
So then we were like, okay, we don't want to risk it. Onizuma's a very good player. We like the reunion type play style. They kind of have a play style over there. It's just fast on the ball pressure, and we kind of like building off of that. So we said, let's do it. Let's use this time we have now before signups to kind of fix everything and get a good foundation going before the season starts.
All right. Well, breaking news. RLCS have indeed posted an update. I need to grab this and where is? Oh, this is going well. Where is my? Oh, there it is. Let's go here. Let's grab this and stick it in there. There we go. Signups are live. You can sign up for RLCS 2026 right now. Go and get it done. And I think that also means that we are going to get a rule set, which is fabulous. So we get to know all the minutia details. So I think maybe either later tonight or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, we'll do the delicious thing of going through a legal document live on stream to see what it has to say and what impacts us. But RLCS signups are live. Oh, the rule book is here. There we go. It says it right in the tweet. Signups are live.
GB. No, not here, not now.
Yeah, not here, not now. Absolutely not. But I'm tempted. I got to tell you, I'm tempted. All right. Well, go and sign up. All right. Well, that's RLCS. There's going to be a lot more to talk about because I think org announcements are going to start coming in thick and fast. And so will roster lockdowns, roster shenanigans, roster mania will begin in earnest now that the signups are open. And as
quick one. Before we leave RLCS, just a quick question to our esteemed guest. How many competitive teams before the invaders came were there? Like, when you considered yourself a serious team, what were you aiming for?
Placement.
Yeah, placement. So
before the invasion.
Yeah.
Like top 6, top 4. That was kind of what the aim was.
And anything greater than top 12, that was just meant that you were GC, I suppose.
So top. I mean, you have to understand. Back then, the rank gap itself was huge. But besides your top 3 teams, there really wasn't anything else above GC2 probably.
Because the reason why I'm asking this question is that I'm just counting the teams on the Cash Cup. And not necessarily orgs, because orgs don't really factor into this, but I'm just having a look at the top 12, the Jabalvin boys, LFO, so that's Woody's, McDonald's working squad. I'm not including them because they are European and they're going to fuck off. Cosmico, Un, Deux, Trois, that is Willu and Willant. Astronic, that's you guys. Just Here for Cake, that is where is this now? Just Here for Cake is on the top 12. And that is Daps, Declan, and Machine. And just carrying on with that one. 6, 7. And that is Zany and Yilu and Bigfoot. And then we start going down into Triple Diente. I think that's the other Spanish team. Doing it for Asterix, which turns out that is now the Chrome team. And rounding it out with Duchies. And then Fatal Line Trio 2. We have to figure out who that is. But that is top 12. This is what we're looking at from what has changed. And what I'm trying to say is that top 12 is still pretty much the only contested. After that, it devolves into the only name or two that is beyond top 12, which was WRG. But if you take out the 2 Spanish teams that competed, that is your top 12. So there is nobody past top 12. And I feel like as far as growth has gone, that's a little disappointing. But I'd like to see a little bit more depth from, like, say, 12 to 18th. GB,
I think
your thoughts on this?
No. There's definitely been an expansion if we go, from RLCS season 1. But there's still a long way to go. And I think what's critical for me, which tackling it from the other end, is getting more people to sign up, because the more people that sign up, the more people get involved in the competitive scene, the more we start to see people coming through. Names like Dawn Zero, Dusk, Moon, they better be signing up for RLCS. We want to see them. So we need more variety, more options coming through. And on that topic, it is critical that we get big signups for RLCS. One of the big arguments against having a region unlock was that it demotivates local teams from playing. Well, now we have a 2/3 rule, so everybody should be signing up. The last Open, or the Rally Major, the three regionals from there, we had between 70 and 80 teams signing up. So I think we should be going for an 80 team minimum, preferably up towards 100. So 300 players signing up for RLCS. Key to that is going to be schools. And I have emailed a few people in the school scene to say, help me, help you. Let's get these teams, let's promote it within schools. And the timing is perfect because exams end around the 20th of November. Regional qualifiers start on the 22nd of November. So the timing is perfect. So we want to get lots of signups. So that's kind of my thinking on it, Bromeo, is yes, it is still disappointing. We are still a small region, but hopefully we use, and again, comes back to my frustration about what could have happened with FIFAe to broaden the support base, the player base, more people coming into the game. We need to take every opportunity we have to grow the number of people playing and grow the number of people that even know about the communities, know about the competitive scene, and so on. I have 2 items of news. We're not going to go into detail on the rule set, but 2 important things that I think are worth mentioning is that there is a slight upgrade on the prize pool. So each Open, first place gets $6,600, $3,600 for second, and it kind of works its way down. 32 places are paid. So 17th to 32nd place gets $300. That is a lot of money coming to local players. And we've just spoken about we only have really a clear top 12, which means 13 to 32 for a money-placed placement is wide open. Get in there, get grinding, and sign up. There's never been a better opportunity for you to make a few shekels playing the game of Rocket League. So that's the one announcement. So the prize pool has gone up. Well, we can say it has ticked up, but up is better than staying the same or going down. And then Skill, I want to get your thought on this. This is a huge announcement. OCE have lost a major spot.
Ooh.
Understandable, to be honest. So for a long time, so OCE's been on RLCS for a long time, right? They had their best showing at Worlds, but you kind of want to, it's like, sure, they had a very good day. I don't fully believe it was consistency. Sorry to the OCE guys. But for a team that, just all of a sudden at Worlds gets that high of a placing. I know they've almost made top 8 a bunch of times, which is really good for them. I'm really happy they did make that placement. But it's only one of the 2 teams that went. That kind of proves that consistency. And it's a very good point to make that EU, NA, even MENA, SAM, like those regions definitely deserve an extra spot because of the absolute consistency they've proven throughout. It can play both ways, out of SSA, who are we to say UNA get more spots? Like,
yes,
we the ones advocating we want to be there, and now we're advocating for another region to get another spot and OCE to lose one. So it's sad to see that OCE doesn't get that extra spot that they've, you can say they've earned it. But again, I'm like, I don't see the issue with them only being able to send one team when MENA has proven they're really a powerhouse region. Like, they definitely deserve that extra spot as well.
And I think it highlights a very important point, is that spots at majors and worlds are not guaranteed. And so we can be given spots can be taken away, which again means we as a region have to shoulder some collective responsibility in terms of the number of people signing up. We've got to show growth. We've got to show competitive improvement as we go. So we do have that responsibility as a region and as a community to make sure we continue to have the opportunity that we have. And I tweeted out a while ago, and I got some flack for it. But I think, in all honesty, I think SSA were fucking lucky to get the spot we got back in 2021. And I mean, there's probably no logical reason we should have got it. But oh my God, we got lucky. We better make sure we don't lose it.
Yeah, and I'm actually on that point. We should also be very grateful that they let us keep our major spot.
Yes.
They could have very easily removed our spot and kept OCE's one and then just given another region our spot.
Yes.
So we're actually very lucky to be keeping our major spot.
Yes.
Which, again, with how balanced the region is turning out to be, that major spot is even more important now. So, yeah, very, very grateful for the way that turned out.
Mm. And then, Pogo, to answer your question, I've received a DM about it, and I don't know what to make of it because I don't know. They haven't been mentioned in what context.
They haven't been. I just fact checked it. They haven't been included in the rulebook of listed regions within SSA.
Yeah, the allowed regions to participate, the Union Island isn't mentioned. But nobody on them have replied. They have made mention that it's been sent up and they're going to get clarity.
It's been queried. So I imagine that will change. That'll change quickly. God help me, I hope so. Because I mean, if that would be a catastrophe.
Union isn't, that's going to be, that's going to be a weird one. But I doubt that's going to go through.
I'm not too deeply concerned.
Yes,
about that
me
one.
neither.
I think it'll be sorted out quickly. But also, just to piggyback on your point, GB, I think it must be very important to note that they didn't open regions because they wanted to punish us. Because I doubt that was, even on their radars. They're not even looking at it. It's like, oh, how would SSA feel competing with a whole bunch of other people?
Yes.
I don't even think that was, how it was thought. They were like, we need to get more signups. How do we do that? And opening it up for everybody means more signups across the board.
Yes.
And I think that was their metric of success. And I think that is what they achieved.
Absolutely.
Although they hurt a couple of feelings along the way, it made very apparent what their prize is what their aim is, what their objective is. And their objective is signups. And it cannot be understated how important it is for you to sign up to play RLCS. Because if that is the metric of success for our benevolent overlords to continue giving us prize pool money to play this game that we love, then, organizing a couple of teams to play and making this a culture of signing up, that's what we need to do. Yes. And it's very easy to say, well, that's not my problem. I can't force my friends to play if they don't want to. But, if we want to keep receiving money from Psyonix, that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to make sure that our friends are signing up for RLCS. And that is the metric of how we stay getting paid for the game that we love. And signups are so bitterly important that Psyonix saw fit to unlock regions, and OCE just lost a major route for another one of another team.
Yeah.
So what's to say that won't happen to us if we do not pull up our socks? And that's obviously not a fair burden to place because Zen's not busy thinking about that. Daniel's not thinking about that. They don't give a shit, but they also not living in SSA. That is not their reality. And we have to view it from a community perspective. We need to do more.
Yeah.
And until such a point that it is so saturated that it's just the obvious thing to do, that is the way it is. And Ashley Page is saying no point in making your friends sign up if they won't even play. Well, then don't, bro. Nobody's asking you to. We're asking the people who actually play the game. And I feel like this is so important because they're expanding the amount of money, money spots. They're increasing the pricing, they're increasing the spread because they want more people to sign up. And that's why the school teams need to sign up. That's why
Yes.
the varsity teams need to sign up. And it's not a lack of desire, it's just the community is too small. And I feel like this ties into why I'm so damn optimistic is that I have seen more growth through my own two eyes this year for our beloved game of Rocket League. It just hasn't hit that point yet. I've seen so much high school Rocket League going on. And what's happening at university level, there's talks being done there. There's so much happening. I feel like this little crew, this little community is simply at the top of a mountain that doesn't know it exists. And I think we're in for a good time, but we just need to keep proving that we deserve to be here.
Fantastic. Very, very astutely said, astutely articulated there. And we'll all be beating the drum for that. Promote it to everybody in your lobbies. Any channel you have to promote it. And it's not about trying to win. It's about getting experience in competition at higher level competitiveness. That is just so good for you. But also, the opportunity to make a few dollars playing Rocket League has never been better for you. And also, I think and this I don't know if this is in the rule set or not, but as far as I know, top 16 finishers get titles, in-game titles as contenders. And those are cherished, those glowy little blue titles. You want to get yourself one of those. And with the rules as they are now, what a great opportunity to do it. Now, we have to move forward because time is now against us. And Bromeo, you were at a LAN this weekend. And please tell us all about it.
That was actually pretty interesting. I got invited to cast at Varsity Esports Metal States Varsity Esports LAN this weekend, and that's where a whole bunch of universities get together and blow each other up with cars and balls. So that was a hell of a lot of fun. Here's actually just the bracket for the second weekend in a row. Let me just say that there's a whole bunch of teams who have already qualified for the final at Rage. So they're not here, namely Darth's Marty's team. This Tro Marty's was like their third team because I know that in the first split it was an all Marty's final, which was really, really cool. There was also a Tux team in there and a Vits team. So Vits League and Blue Gold, these are second and third teams as well, because I think the rule is you're allowed 5 university teams per university. So you're going to see more than one. So Tux Velocity, Tux Improbable. But what was really cool was Technic Eagles NWU Pucker team took it all the way to the final, beating out the UCT Freestyle Police. To Die For was supposed to be on that team, but he was too busy representing his country. So that was, obviously a shame. But overall, I think that this has a lot of potential for growth. And it was a lot of fun because getting to see the university teams, I've got a foam finger up in the corner of my room. I'm not sure if you can see it over my shoulder. It doesn't matter. Anyway, they were doing a lot to promote the vibe and the fun. So if you want to go and watch the VOD, it's on Metal State. It was really cool. There were a couple of really, really close games. The first game, the opener, was UCT versus Marty's, and that was a lot of fun. It went into overtime in the first game. Crowd went wild. It was a straight up lot of fun. So long may it continue. And this was only the Split 2 final. All of these teams are going to meet again at Rage, and you can actually see it over here, what it looked like all in all. They're going to meet at Rage somewhere in December. and we're going to get to see university teams playing Rocket League. So what that looks like, I don't know. I'm sure we're going to get somebody on to explain it as we get closer, because this does need to be supported, because you've got high school Rocket League, you got community Rocket League, and now we have university Rocket League. So it needs to get stronger. It needs to be another avenue that you can play.
And we are planning to get some. Firstly, shout out to Metal State, because they've taken the University Rocket League under their wing, and they are looking to grow it, to support it. And we're going to do everything we can to help them. In fact, we're going to get some peeps from Metal State to come onto the podcast and explain their rollout for 2026, I hope, and how what University Rocket League is going to look like in 2026, and then also talk about Rage. But make sure you get to Rage. I'm hoping 6 to 8 December. I wanted to have a quick squiz at my calendar.
December.
And because I'm hoping I can make it there for that one, and I'll get to my. It looks like I'm gonna have openings to be there, which would be fantastic.
Hey.
But yeah, University Rocket League also on the come up. It's slow, it's small, but it's going to get bigger, and over the next year or two, it is going to be huge. So yeah, that's pretty pumped, and well done for being there, Bromeo and Muzz, doing the work over the weekend. And I believe there was backup power, so it wasn't chilly inside the hall.
Yeah, it was, it was at the EFC arena. So it's a very intimate venue in a warehouse in Rivonia. And usually there is air conditioning and lovely first world amenities. But when there is no power, it turned into a bit of a sweat fest on and off the field. So happy that we got to do it. But I'm also regretting that I didn't take like a sweatband or something just to do that cast with. But it was so much fun. I would 100% do it again. And I 100% agree that this is something that needs to be supported, and supported hard, because there are people on the ground doing the big work for not too much back, and this is one of those things. And university esports needs to take off, because it's the one avenue that we haven't seen anything from yet.
So, in closing, a reminder that there will be no podcast next week. It will be RSC playoffs. On Monday, it will be the prospect tier playoffs. So we'll be doing that. We'll be back again on the 10th of November. And we have some cool stuff upcoming. We've, as just mentioned by Bromeo, we're going to get the Metal State peeps on here. There's a org coming into the scene. Well, I can say Synthesis are coming into the RLCS scene. They're coming in big. We're going to have Tendo from Synthesis on the podcast on the 17th. And then Kitsune, another long-standing local org, getting involved in Rocket League. I spent a few hours with their owner and manager last week talking because she comes from the CSGO, knows nothing about Rocket League. So just laying out what the scene looks like, what to expect, and what the opportunities are for long-term involvement in local Rocket League. So we'll get her onto the podcast to talk about Kitsune and their goals and ambitions with being involved with Rocket League. So a lot of good things coming, and of course RLCS not that far away. And hopefully tomorrow we can do a bit of a deep dive into the rule book and clarify some things. And also, we have on Wednesday the RSC pod, which is helmed by the Bromeo. What can we expect on Wednesday, Bromeo?
Oh, man, this one's exciting. It's the last week of RSC. This is the penultimate week that it's the last week of league play. It's the semi-final week of just RSC in particular, because next week are the finals. This is when RSC is done. So I was just having a look through some of the fixtures, and they're absolutely mouthwatering, because I was, just in prospect alone, the lowest of the low tier, there is 2 points separating 4th position to 10th. 2 points, that's half a game, half a series. And that's absolutely incredible. So every single game in this final week is pretty much do or die, and we're going to be covering all of it. Every single one, all of the fun stats heading into the finals. There'll be a little bit of a power ranking, who we think are going to take it. And you guys are more than welcome to attend and give your very biased opinions. We want it, we need it, we should have it.
RSC channel, that's where that's happening. I'll dump the link into chat. RSC SSA. If you're not following that Twitch channel, go and do so now to make sure you catch the RSC pod on Wednesday. And because RSC is going to have a dedicated podcast after the close of the RSC season, I'm going to be rebranding Just Saying, because we've pretty much followed the RSC branding for Just Saying, and I am looking for a designer, someone who can help me make the starting soon screens and the stingers and the transitions and all of that cool stuff. I have a modest budget for it, so if you're keen to help me with that, please do get in touch. And that is going to wrap it up. And Skill Still, thank you for being here tonight. I keep trying to make Skill Still, when you look at sports broadcasts around the world, the best people on these broadcasts are former professionals, people who've been in the down and the dirty, in the mud and the heat of competitive play, because their insights are so good. And that's what I want Skill Still to do for this podcast. But God damn it, he refuses to retire. God, Skill, at some point, are you going to become available?
Well, okay, so let me preface this by saying, so retirement in esports doesn't always mean you just step away and never play the game again, okay? It's not like,
Yes.
Victor Matfield in rugby. It's not that kind of case. But yes, at some point I will fully stop, what did Mr. Lowe tweet that one day? He said Rocket League will officially be dead the day I stop playing Rocket League. That's pretty much what he said.
That's excellent.
So yeah, at one point I'll probably step away. Right now, gotta focus on actually not shitting the bed on the field. So,
well, I wish you long success in competitive Rocket League. There's no Russian pressure from me, but my goodness, would I love to have you on this podcast on a regular basis. So we are going to go and do a raid because Guns is currently live, so we might as well go and raid Guns, and you can follow him if you aren't already. But we will see you again. Maybe tomorrow we'll have a rule set dissection, or if failing that, I think the next stream is planned for. Well, it's going to be RSC, pretty much wall-to-wall RSC until Thursday week. So make sure you're tuned in to all of that. But from me, Greybeard, the Bromeo, and Kill Steal, Skill Steal, Bold Steals, Kill Steak, a Skill Steak, all of them. He has many names, but he is Skill Steal. Thanks for hanging, everybody. And until then, peace.